Hey, big news with crypto today. I'll go ahead and talk about why the crypto market, at least Bitcoin, Ethereum, are pumping. We'll also look at a few other things, but in general, it's going to be a short video. Of course, I'm trying to make these type of streams back-to-back days in a row, 3 in a row, and trying to do that on a daily basis or at least a weekly basis. And of course, these have been recorded, and it's been very difficult to actually live stream, but I do plan to do that. Over the last few days, I did talk about, altcoins, meme coins, how to find those early, trying to catch the next 100x, 200x or more. And so if you want to go ahead and catch the video, you can watch the last couple of videos where I do talk about that, my ideas and what I think are good plays of now. So nothing is financial advice. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the chart over here. Here we go. Pop, right? And so with this chart with Bitcoin, it's really funny because the last couple of days that I've recorded and streamed, there have been somewhat dips. And both times I've said, don't worry about it. Because what I think is happening is I think what we're doing is we're getting a higher low on the overall trend. And so to basically zoom up, this is the 1 hour chart. And so that happened the day before around this area right here. And I said, I think we're just going to get, a dip and it's going to bounce higher low. That's what happened. And yet again, it was the same thing. And so talking to some people in a group and saying, look, I think it's just going to be a higher low. And I said yesterday on the video exactly this. Do not be shocked after this rejected off for this to come back down in this area. And it did. And so I think, it's not to pat my own back, but I think it's just common sense of trading this market so many times that you understand that things aren't going to go straight up or down. There's a lot of choppiness in it. It's to shake you out. And we even had one of those today. We'll look at that here in a second, but it did make another higher low. And then exactly when I was going to bed, it's kind of funny. I was looking at this pulling back and I was like, oh, kind of biting my tongue a little bit. Should I cut my position? But I just, I want to sleep on it because you should never go to bed and sleep and sweat out a position. That means that you have too much at risk. So typically, if you're in a spot position only, not leverage, you're probably fine. And I woke up and it was, of course, retesting these areas are, breaking the range. And so it did break that. And so early in the day, we got a scare. If we go ahead and go down, I'll go to the 5-minute chart, maybe even the minute chart, because it's kind of funny to watch this when it happens, kind of the collapse. And it went just a few minutes, went from 785 down $1,000, which when you think about $1,000 when Bitcoin's over 100,000, it's not really a big deal. But when it happens that fast, a flash crash of $1,000, people tend to flip out a little bit. What's going on? And the stock market was pulling back, but it was a quick flash crash and we had a V bottom, which means we recovered very fast, bounced up. And then from there, of course, a lot of times what ends up happening is people will have these ranges when they're leverage trading, and they will actually, let's see here, like this area, which is probably like the range low, okay, where the range basically began, low. And then basically what happens is it crashes way through that, liquidates those people, stops them out. Of course, people enter in and it goes back up. And so knowing, because what I think happened was whenever you see a move like that on occasion, you see a quickly rebound and then not too much longer, just really pick up and pump because people front run the news a lot of times. And so what that news was 401ks or retirement programs. And so if you want to read at the very top here, there's a meme at the bottom, but breaking: President Trump officially signs executive orders opening the $12.5 trillion 401k retirement market to crypto investments, meaning that pensions, retirements can actually invest in crypto markets. And so because of that, it really means a lot, because that is a lot of money overall. Though I do like where Radium said pivot from mutual funds to meme coins. But I had an opportunity to look up, Chat GPT, and just to ask it, what is the percentage amount of retirement when it comes to, and of course we saw in the tweet, it was, they said 12 trillion. And just really breaking it down when it comes to retirement assets and the stock market in general, breaking it down as far as the Federal Reserve, Goldman Sachs data suggests that the equity market, so is the stock market, households hold roughly 34% of assets in that area. Mutual funds, 22%. Pension funds, retirement, 11%. So, of course, 11, 12%, perhaps. Foreign investors, 16%. ETF, 6%. So, the implies pension-related ownership aligns for around a 10 to 15% range of the total, but that's about one slice of the retirement picture, excluding IRAs and 401ks rolled into mutual funds, for example. So, yeah, bottom line, I mean, there's a variety of ways for 401ks. So like pensions, mutual funds. Bottom line, it's it comes down to around 12.5 trillion from what we can see as far as the 401k. So you're going to be able to find all kinds of numbers across the internet. And so it's really hard, but just try to break that down. AI does a pretty good job. But I mean, the cool thing about that is just understanding that, Bitcoin becomes more and more of a household name. And so people tend to see that. It legitimizes Bitcoin. It legitimizes crypto in general. And it's kind of funny because I'll talk to people often and they'll say, hey, what do you do for work? I trade and invest. And it's like, I almost don't want to say crypto because it seems to have a negative stigma, especially for people who aren't in it. So anyway, that's something to watch. Ethereum is looking pretty good. Now, if I go ahead and go to the ETH BTC chart, you're going to notice that ETH BTC, so ETH is outperforming Bitcoin over the past week, and it's breaking out right here again. If I were to zoom out on the daily, you're going to notice that it looks like we're going to continue to have this uptrend from ETH against BTC. So what's really happening here? I'm going to go ahead and zoom into the ETH chart. ETH also looks really good, retesting around 3,900, close to that. And I think we're going to get the magnet break above this range that has been holding since March, April of 2024, and knocked 4,000, just under, knocked 4,000 again in December, and we're about to head back up to 4,000. I do not foresee this to be a triple top. What's going to happen, I believe, is it's going to break out above here, and then we're going to be off to the races up to 4,700 for a test of the new all-time high, close to 5,000. And I think within the end of the year, which is a long time from now, by the way. So I'm being very conservative, but what I'm saying is in the next 6 months, we'll be above 5,000, or we would have tested 5,000 by then. So for Ethereum, I'm an Ethereum holder. I think it's big. It's kind of like everyone right now. The big story is with all these treasuries, okay? All these treasuries, all these Ethereum treasuries who want to be like the next micro strategy or strategy for Bitcoin, how they've raised money, they've borrowed money, they bought Bitcoin with it, they continue to buy Bitcoin in dollar cost average, which is super bullish overall for Bitcoin. And then now we could be seeing the same aspect with Ethereum. So do not be shocked if you see a massive price movement on Ethereum over the next 3 to 6 months with that speculation. And so with other speculation as well, too, not only did Trump talk about retirement and actually signing in that executive order, but there's more and more news about Trump getting in people within the Federal Reserve, letting go of Powell, trying to get more people who are more dovish, whatever you want to say, people who are bullish and want to print money when it comes to, I wouldn't say it's bullish. They want to print money basically, and stimulate the economy. So I guess that's the best way to say it if you want to say bullish. but President Trump wants to do that. So with that said, there could really be a reckoning as far as, well, a bullish reckoning upon both the stock market and crypto over the next year, to where we see a massive bubble, maybe even in these Ethereum and Bitcoin treasuries over the next year. And so it's just good for Ethereum price. And so is it a good time to buy Ethereum? Well, the best time to buy Ethereum was at 1,500. If you didn't get in there, it was at this, 2,500. And of course you didn't get there, this dip down to 3,300 would have been great. But Ethereum still has not yet to break out of this range. Okay. So because of that, I would say that yes, Ethereum is still a good buy, and that, as I told you a couple minutes ago, I think it's going to break at 5,000, above 5,000 here in the next 6 months. Will it get above that? Potentially. My range has always been around 8,000 to 10,000. You're going to hear people who say 15 to 20,000, but in general, I do think that Ethereum is going to be much higher. So that's really the big story for today. I mean, I don't want to stay too long, but retirement plans with 12.5 trillion in assets, potentially some of that pouring into Bitcoin. Even if 10% of that 10%, that's $1.2 trillion. That's a ton of money. Trillion, not billion, trillion, right? So that's a ton of money. Outside, I mean, looking at meme coins, I did talk about WOJAK over the last couple of days, this week, and just really just saying, in crypto culture history, WOJAK is a meme along Doge and Pepe that is just something that is historically monumental and rooted in crypto culture. When you talk about culture, people want to talk about culture coins all the time. A lot of times people try to make culture coins and these quote crypto cults and these new meme coins. And, these things are like a week old, 2 days old. They made the coin last Tuesday and they're like, we're a culture coin, we're a cult. And it's just like, no, you're not. You've got 50 holders, right? So you have to laugh at that. But when it comes to something like WOJAK is a meme character, and I said before, usually it has to be a character or a belief system, one of those two, for a meme to really take off. And again, with WOJAK being a character, pretty big pullback, 60%. That's not out of the question with memes. Again, I bought in around 1 million market cap around this area, 1 to 2. And so I'm still holding. Yeah, I mean, it went up, and I went up, 8, 10 to 10x, and I didn't really sell anything. So I'm used to that. And if anything, I tend to be that guy who tends to hold things a long time. So yeah, there's a lot of people who will just quickly sell off a 2 and 3x, and they'll look for the next thing. And I agree with that when it comes to a lot of trades. But when it comes to something like WOJAK, again, it's such a big name in crypto history. I do believe that there is more upside, especially when there are big holders of other big coins, such as Troll. The main holders of WOJAK continue to hold. And as you can see here in the Axiom trade, they continue to hold, and they have yet to sell, right? 4%, 2%. And it's just, most of these, there's very few who have sold. So again, holding large amounts of WOJAK, the main holders, that's what you want from a community of conviction. But that looks pretty good overall. Again, if you want to try Axiom Pro, it's free to use. You can totally do that. I will drop the link below in the comments. You can check that out. It's basically Axiom at RagerFi, which is basically like my name on YouTube. So with that said, it's pretty cool. There's a lot. You can see bubble maps. You can see holders. You can see all the data in here when it comes to discovering, tracking different meme coins, different things being launched on exchanges and Launchpad. This is a really good place overall to check that out. So with that said, you guys can check it out in the link below. But Bitcoin, what it must do next is break above 118. And I've said that time and time again. And so we want to make sure that we see that happen. And we want to see it break above, this 118 level. Notice that it currently is rejecting off that level, but we're moving sideways right here. I love when I draw a box and basically price rejects at the very top of it. So it just kind of shows you the confluence. It's not that I'm some magic TA guy. I mean, there's quite a few people who can basically figure out the main levels, draw these resistance support areas, and figure that out from there. But really, it does tend to work pretty well. Self-fulfilling prophecy, whatever you want to call it. Bitcoin is rejecting off there as expected. What we want to see, though, is some strength with Bitcoin. Can Bitcoin then break above this 117 to 118K level sideways and then move up for that? I mean, certainly the retirement news is going to help big time. So with that said, that's really what I'm watching for as far as lows. If it can't get above this, then potentially if it breaks back down to this prior range, sub 115K, not necessarily a good thing. Okay, so let's take it day by day. Let's take it level by level. 118K, that's what we want to see to break. And with that said, we'll just keep it there. But right now, things are looking good for Bitcoin. If you guys want to go ahead, like and subscribe if you're not yet a part of the community on YouTube. I'll also stream this video elsewhere as well too. But wherever you're watching this, make sure that you're subscribed if you like, and to share it would be awesome. Always love to have new people watching and to hopefully be able to communicate more in live streams. That's it for me today, guys. So with that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Trade safe, and I will see you on the next one.